Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today we're going to be doing an overview on this computer case. This is the Fractal Define XL Full Tower Silent computer case. So here's a quick 360-degree view of the case. It has what I would describe as a monolithic design. It's very bold and beautiful, very straightforward. It's got an all-black finish. There's some white highlighting throughout. And some of you folks might be saying, hey Paul, the Define XL has actually been out for a while. You would be correct. This is not necessarily a new case, but this is a newer revision of the case. It does include USB 3.0 for starters. Now what I'm going to do is show you guys the front panel right here. And the Fractal has focused on maintaining silence as much as possible throughout this case, which you'll find in a lot of the details, but they're also giving you the option to increase the airflow if necessary. So if you're doing a hotter build with more hardware, if you're going to be doing overclocking or something like that, you have those options. So right here on the inside of the front panel, you can see there's some foam protection there that will do some sound dampening for you. Right here in the front, you have a pop-out panel, so you can easily access those front panel 140mm intake fans. It does come with one fan pre-mounted right here, as well as right below it. There's a spot for an additional one. There's also a fan filter on that, which I'll show you guys in just a second. Also here on the front are your 5¼ inch bays. They pop off very easily from the front. You don't have to remove the front bezel or anything to get to those. They also have some ventilation built into all of those. And if you're looking at this foam cover and you're wondering where the airflow comes from, well, it comes from the side right here. There is grilling all along the side on both sides to provide plenty of airflow into that. So not only does it allow the air and plenty of air, that being said, to get in there so that the fans can pull it in and direct it through the case, but this solid front bezel with that foam on it will also deflect some of the sound coming from the fans inside the case. Right up here at the top there is a power indicator light that will turn blue when the case is turned on. Here on this side panel you have another optional 120 or 140mm fan mount. That's covered for now, and I'll show you the inside of that when I take the side panel off. Here on the back, you can see your pretty standard back panel areas. There is additional honeycomb grilling right here, also all the way down the side. This actually provides airflow for the area behind the motherboard tray, which is where a lot of cables go, but heat builds up there as well, so nice to have that ventilation. It comes with a pre-installed 140mm exhaust fan here at the back. There's a knockout there for your inputs and outputs on your motherboard. You get 2, 4, 6, 7 PCI expansion slots right here. Again, there's some of that white highlighting that you'll see more of inside. You got a couple grommets there for routing water cooling hoses. There's an 8th PCI expansion slot right over here on the side, so if you have an add-on card with some extra USB ports or maybe a fan controller knob, something like that, you can mount it right there on the side for easy access. Here at the bottom is your power supply mount. It is reversible. It also comes with padding all along the inside of it. So in order to reverse it, if you want to flip your power supply, you just remove these screws and you actually flip that whole mount upside down, which again just provides a little bit more cushioning all along the outside of your power supply. Also here beneath the power supply, right where the intake fan would be, you have an easily removable and cleanable dust filter, which I will slide back in. And then finally, let's take a look at the right side panel. So we can take a look at some of the cable management options. It is mounted with thumb screws. The panel folds out like that, which I prefer a lot compared to the ones that you have to slot in all along the top and the bottom. It's just easier to add and remove. Here on the inside, across the entire right side panel, there is some sound dampening material. Just drop that down. I should also say that this is quite heavy, which is indicative of the sturdy construction of the entire case. Here is a look at your cable management area. They also have a knockout here for your CPU backplate if you're using an aftermarket CPU cooler, and they got a cover for that, and that's pretty much going to keep your thermal areas more separated there with that cover, so you can replace that and use the thumb screw to hold it in place. Here you have rubberized grommets all the way at the top and down the side. That's for routing your cables. Plenty of cable tie-downs intelligently placed. They're actually angled too, which I think is a nice touch. So all the way down there, you got another one here as well as down here. There's another rubberized grommet there to route the cables from your power supply. Here you can see all of your 3.5-inch drive mounts. Again, more of the white accents with the trays that they have right there. You get 3 in this area right here, 3 more right here, and then 4 more right up there, and a nice big cutout so you can access the power and data cable plugins for all of those. You can see some of the cables here that they've already routed down for you for the front pans as well as the front panel connectors. And then up here is what is most likely a 5 1/4 inch to 3 1/2 inch drive tray, which I'll verify in just a moment. Here's a look at the bottom of the case, just so you can see you got some raised feet. All 4 of them have some rubberized padding at the bottom to prevent scrapes and scratches to the desk you might be setting this case on, as well as to provide some additional noise dampening, vibration dampening functionality. Also, the feet are pretty sizable. You get just shy of 1 inch of clearance underneath the case, and that will allow for some clear airflow, particularly to your power supply fan intake, which is right there at the back. And there you can see the underside of that removable fan filter. Spinning it around to the top, we can see our inputs and outputs for the front panel. Right here you have a headphone and microphone jack. You also get the power button right there, and you get a couple USB 2.0, and for this newer model of the Define XL you get 2 USB 3.0 ports as well. Okay, we're back here to the front of the case because, well, first off, I missed there is a reset button. It's nested right in there, so you can get to the reset button as well as the power button that's at the top. Also, I showed you guys this little fold-out panel right there, and I thought you had to remove the front bezel in order to get at these fans, but the fact is that you don't. You just pull on these tabs right here, and this entire little fan assembly will pop right off, which makes it much easier to clean the fans themselves as well as the dust filters here on the front. Here on the back, you can see that pre-installed fan. It just clips into place. Again, by pulling this whole assembly off, not only can you clean the filters, but you can also clean off the fans, which this being the primary intake for the case will definitely keep your case dust-free, and by extension, will also keep it cooler and quieter because the fans will not have to spin up in order to eject more hot air out of the case. That being said, you can also remove the front bezel by gripping the bottom right there and pulling out, and the tabs will release. And here you can also see there's an additional 120 millimeter fan mount right there, which is right where the optical drives are. Now, the ventilation on the optical drives as well as here on the side of the case will allow air to get there as well, but if you're not going to be running more than 1 optical drive, which is very common, you can add an additional fan right there, additional airflow. And again, here with these you have tabs that you push out, and you can pop this fan mount off as well to easily clean it or clean the fan. Just to confirm, that is a included 5 1/4 inch to 3 1/2 inch drive mount right there. That will allow you to install an additional 3 1/2 inch drive into one of your 5 1/4 inch bays. And then one last thing I wanted to show, which might be hard at this angle, but this panel right up here is where your USB 2.0 and 3.0 parts are. Now, there's a prior version of the Define XL that has all USB 2.0 ports, and if you happen to have that case, Fractal has released this little guy right here. It's a USB 3.0 upgrade kit. It's not necessary for this case right here, and in fact, it won't fit it directly, but if you got the older version and you really want to upgrade to USB 3.0, particularly if you get, for instance, a new motherboard that has USB 3.0 mounts, well, this kit will pretty much allow you to take that little panel right there, pop that into place, and that will give you your USB 3.0 as well as your USB 2.0, and it even gives you that 20-pin USB 3.0 internal header. And finally, let's take a look at the case's main chamber and, of course, the left side panel. Again, here, very sturdy. They've used nice thick steel here for the side panel construction. It is not flimsy at all. They've got that sound dampening material across the entire inside of the panel. Right here is your optional 120 or 140 millimeter fan mount. Again, they've put some additional foam padding in front of that just to make sure that you have as quiet of a case as you possibly can have. And then here is the interior. You will notice that they've divided it into 2 chambers. So you've got this solid panel here, which separates the lower chamber here from the upper area. So right down here is where your power supply will go. You'll notice they have this foam insert over the power supply. Again, more sound dampening. They have these tall rubberized feet that will lift the power supply up off of the metal bottom of the case. Again, that rubber will reduce the sound from the power supply fan. Right here we can see our first, those are accessories, I'll get back to those. These are our first 6 3.5 inch drive trays right here. Each tray is individually painted white, also has some silicone grommets there to mount your 3.5-inch drives to, so if you have mechanical spinning hard drives, that should again reduce vibration and noise. Also, each of these trays has a 2.5-inch hard drive mount, so for 2.5-inch hard drives or SSDs, you can also fit them in any one of these trays. Going up here to the upper panel, let me just tilt it down a little bit so you guys can see. They actually do have a separator plastic piece right here, so that's optional if you are so inclined and you want to change up the airflow in the case. You just got to remove a Phillips head screw, which I'm sure, oh, it's right here. And you can remove that plastic panel, so you can change up your airflow just depending on your system configuration. Here at the back, you can see the inside. There's the white painted PCI slots. Each of those also has ventilation. They use black thumb screws to attach all of those. Your fans here at the back have braided cables, and they all have 3-pin connectors, so you can plug those directly into your motherboard, and you'll be able to monitor their RPMs through your operating system. Here at the back is your 140 millimeter exhaust fan. Up here at the top, and let me angle it back this way so you guys can see, is a 180 millimeter exhaust fan. Now if you looked at the top of the case, there is no ventilation at the top of the case, but there actually is at the back. And I spoke with a friend of mine at Fractal about this because they say they get a lot of feedback about how effective this fan is. They've tested it with both configurations, and it is just as effective with the angle right here in the ventilation at the back as it would be ejecting air directly out the top of the case. And again, with no space on the top of the case for sound to leak out, that keeps it quieter again. The fan is held on with clips here, so you can pop it out for cleaning again if you would like to. It's always good to keep your case clean. There's the motherboard tray right there at the back with that plastic panel that you can fold down for your CPU backplane. Entire interior of the case is painted black. It's got a very nice finish to it. Up here at the front are your 5 1/4 inch bays. These use standard drive mountings, but I find for 5 1/4 inch bays, the toolless systems, generally you use them once and it doesn't really matter. So you get a bit sturdier mounting with your 5 1/4 inch drives anyway, so if you have opticals, you can bolt those in with screws and keep those nice and tidy and in place. There's that 5 1/4 inch to 3.5 inch drive bay adapter. And then finally right here, I shouldn't say finally, I still have to go over the case front panel connectors, but right here you have an additional drive cage with thumb screws, which I'm slowly removing, and this whole cage can pop out. So you can pop that cage out just like that. That will give you some direct airflow from that front intake fan back towards your video cards and your main motherboard and CPU area. 4 more 3.5 inch drive cages right there, and again, same mounting system for those. So you can do an SSD or 3.5 inch drive. Yeah, I believe that's just about does it for this guy right here. Now, if you're going to remove that, really you would only do so for airflow because this is quite a roomy case, and I have a sample video card right here. This video card is exactly 12 inches long, measured from the bracket there, so I'm just going to sort of hold this up to give you guys an idea. If it were attached to the PCI bracket right there, you can see you still have a good 1.5 to 2 inches there at the back, and that's with that drive cage still in place. So even for your lengthier full-size cards, plenty of room in this case for them if you're going to go with a Crossfire or SLI setup. Now I should say finally, because now we're going to finish off with these umbilicals here. For the front panel connectors, you get your standard power reset LED connectors. There's another fan connector for that front fan. You get a USB 2.0 connector there for your motherboard. You also get HD or AC97 audio to plug into your motherboard. And finally, there's the 20-pin USB 3.0 connector to plug into motherboards that have that plug. I'm going to finish off with the accessories that were in that box, but I did forget something here. I wanted to show you guys this drive cage that you can remove. You can also rotate it. So if you put it that way, you can have your connectors right there at the back, and they'll be easier to access. If you want better airflow over these drives, you can rotate it 90 degrees and reinsert it right there and reattach it with the thumb screws, and that will provide some additional airflow across all of those drives for that cage. So yet another feature of this Define XL case. For accessories, you get a user's manual, which will give you some warranty information as well as some info about all of the features of the case. You get this baggie, which has all of your motherboard standoffs, mounting screws, mounting hardware, as well as some zip ties for cable management. Speaking of motherboard mounting, I should mention motherboard compatibility. You can use micro ATX, mini, let's go from smallest to largest. Mini ATX, micro ATX, ATX, or extended ATX motherboards will all fit in this case. I'm getting ahead of myself. Here is a 5¼ inch to 3.5 inch front panel little adapter here. So if you go with a 3.5 inch front panel item such as a fan controller or something along those lines, a card reader, you can use that to keep the front bezel of your case looking nice and clean. Here is a PCI slot adapter. I swear I had no knowledge of this when I started this video, but basically this is meant for either that extra PCI slot at the back or wherever you want to put it. This is a little integrated fan controller, so if you don't want to plug the fans directly into the motherboard, you can plug them in here. It's got a power connector there that you route through your power supply. It's a pass-through too, so you're not even going to lose that Molex connector. And then you plug this little fan item, 3-pin fan connector right there, and it gives you 3 more fan connectors to plug your fans into. And then you can have a manual control via this knob to control your fan speed. Another nice bonus integrated from Fractal. And that's all for accessories. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, this has been the Fractal Define XL full tower computer case, the black pearl version that we have here, as well as the USB 3.0 upgrade kit for those of you who might be using the older version of the Define XL that only has USB 2.0. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed today's video, please head over to our Newegg YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more tech videos. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.